everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of School for Startups Radio. We've got a fantastic show for you today. We are going to do some really interesting things. We're going to talk about cybersecurity, running an IT business, all of that. Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about after-school programs. And at the end of the show, in the fourth segment, I have a rant I'm going to go on, and I'm going to tell you about an entrepreneur I met who spent $115,000 buying a logo. Unbelievable. And he's trying to raise money to pay for that. So we got that story coming up in the fourth segment. But first, we're going to start off today with a really cool IT story. I'm excited to welcome to the show Don Baham. He is the president of Kraft Technology Group. They are based out of Nashville, been in business since 1992, which is pretty damn impressive. And he has been the president there for the last 4 years. Don, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jim. Thank you for having me. Appreciate the time.
All right. So explain the basket of skills that Kraft offers. I'm a small business. What can you do for us?
Well, so Kraft Technology Group is actually owned by Kraft CPAs, and as a CPA firm, you can think of the traditional tax and audit services that are available to small businesses, medium-sized businesses as well. And Kraft has taken an entrepreneurial approach to launching new businesses, and Kraft Technology Group is one of those. As you mentioned in the intro there, Kraft Technology Group was started in 1992, and we offer IT consulting, managed IT services, security services. Obviously, cybersecurity is a hot topic today. We help businesses manage technology and security so they can focus on their strategic goals.
All right. So how many employees or what sort of revenue numbers does your typical customer have, Dan? Is it about $1 million where I would be able to start affording your products? What do you think?
That might be a typical threshold on the lower end. I would say our sweet spot is, our business is anywhere from 25 to 250 employees. And so, a 25-person shop is most likely going to be north of that $1 million mark, obviously, or there's some other operational issues to discuss there. So at times we do go down to the lower end. It really depends on the type of services that are needed from a small business. One of those factors is regulatory or compliance issues. We deal a lot with healthcare and financial services firms, and sometimes even those smaller firms down in that $1 million revenue line may have a need for advanced security services, and so that may make sense for smaller organizations that don't hit that 25 employee mark.
Yeah, if they're in that space, they have to start being compliant from day one, I would assume. So even when they're at zero in revenue, they need to hire you. For a cyber product, though, a cybersecurity product, that may go down to a one-person shop, right? I mean, I'm a one-person shop, and I pay for cybersecurity. Tell me about that, and let's let everyone know, am I crazy as a one-person shop to be paying for cyber? Who in the heck would ever attack me? I'm too small to attack.
Right.
We know that's not true, so talk to me about the cyber.
Yeah, it's a common misconception, and regardless of your size, you're a target. We actually have some broker dealers that are, one-person or two-person shops, very small, that deal with sensitive client information, and so they have a need for advanced security solutions, but obviously the budget's small, so we have to figure out a solution that works well for them. So in your particular case, where you are, a solo entrepreneur, you're not crazy. I think it's crazy not to pay for any sort of cybersecurity services. Obviously, we provide those similar services for operations like yourselves and larger. So no, I don't think you're too small. In fact, recently we helped out a local Middle Tennessee business that I believe was less than 15 employees. And so, very small in consideration. Didn't necessarily deal with sensitive information, not financial services or healthcare, yet they were a target. and it took their business offline for almost 10 days because they didn't have the services in place proactively. So regardless of your size, you are a target. And think about the operational impact to your business if you are not able to access your resources or the data you had to serve your customers.
And I have heard another service you offer is cloud. And I keep hearing that cloud is the safety net. If you've got it in the cloud, it doesn't matter if you get cyber attacked, right? Talk to me about, is cloud a safety net? What are your thoughts on using that as my security plan? My security plan is if it gets broken, throw it away and download from the cloud and start over.
Sure. In theory, there are some inherent security advantages to the cloud, right? You don't have the data locally, so again, if your device breaks, in theory, you can just download the data and you're right on going. Obviously, cyber criminals have caught up with that mentality, and they have figured out ways to infiltrate cloud accounts, encrypt data wherever it resides, and hold your data hostage. So simply having data in the cloud or your applications in the cloud does not mean that you're immune to many of the attacks out there. So be smart. Make sure you're using the right cloud. Make sure you are implementing services on top of those cloud services to keep them secure. And you're using either internal resources or outsourced resources that know how to secure those cloud services, like Kraft Technology Group.
So if a company like Target can get hacked, and, they're spending millions of dollars a year on IT, CIOs, security, if they can get hacked, my thinking is any cloud could get hacked just as easily.
Absolutely. That's completely true. And in the case of Target, that was actually a third party that was the initial entry point. So that was one of their vendors. And that brings up another point, whether it's cloud or another service provider. What are you doing for vendor management? Are you making sure that the services and the products you're using are being managed appropriately, and you're managing your vendors appropriately to assess their risk, because they may have access to data that is sensitive, or they don't need access to it, and you have to put different controls around that. So you bring up the example of Target, and I would say another area of concern for any business is making sure you know what your vendors are doing and that you have a good vendor management program in place.
Well, let's switch it. Here on this show, I bet most of our listeners are the vendor. Not the target. We are the vendor. And I bet you this, Dan, I bet you that vendor doesn't work for Target anymore. I bet you they got fired. So as a vendor, though, as someone who is supplying stuff, what do I need? I mean, I just need a full security system to make sure that I'm not the one who infiltrates the target and don't get fired, right?
Absolutely. And just think, if you are the vendor in somewhere in that supply chain, you are a target based on who you do business with. So if they somehow find out that you do business with a large, Fortune 2000, Fortune 1000 company, be sure that you're a target, because they're trying to get to that bigger fish. So you have to put the systems in place on your end to make sure that you don't end up breaching one of your larger clients. And obviously that reputational damage is sometimes unrepairable.
So what would a cyber package, not necessarily from Kraft, but just from anybody, a generic price, be on that kind of thing for my solopreneur office? What am I looking at? $100 a month? Can I get away with $100 a month?
Absolutely. I think that's a good average, and one that, especially for a solo entrepreneur, should get you endpoint protection, backup, network protection, web protection, email security of some sort, and maybe even a private VPN type of solution when you're browsing or on different networks. But that $100 a month price point should be relatively safe in assuming that you can get what you need for that amount.
All right. I have a mermaid, a Batgirl, and a stormtrooper going out for Halloween. What are your kids dressing up for, Dan, as Halloween? I know you've got 3. What are they going to dress up like?
So my two younger ones are going to be the ones that are dressing up, and I believe they are going out as characters from a cartoon, and it's a ladybug and a cat of some sort, cat noir and ladybug something. So I wish I knew the exact answers, but I do believe that we'll be red and black spotted and some sort of black cat running around our neighborhood.
You and I should go as punch cards. Just
We
big
should.
punch cards, like 8-foot
Nobody
tall
would know what
punch cards.
that means.
Well,
at
only
this
the
point.
people who are 50 and above from
Right.
the industry would recognize it. Anyway, we
Absolutely.
got to take a break, Dan. We will be right back in just a second to talk more about Kraft. So thanks for being with us. But we got to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Thanks, Jim.
And welcome back to School for Startups Radio. Again, thank you so much for being with us. I am unbelievably embarrassed, rude. Dan is not Dan. His name is Don, and I am so sorry, Don. I am going to fire somebody. And the problem, Don, is that, as I've just been saying, it's a solopreneur shop here. I'm the only one to let go, so I'm fired.
Right.
So,
well, don't let go of yourself. That would be tragic. So, apology accepted.
Again, I am very, very, very sorry. Why hire Kraft and not somebody else? Why are you different? How are you special?
Sure. I think the standard answer obviously is people, right? And I think that's the most important fact is we've got excellent people that are trained to support healthcare, financial services, and other professional services firms, and they're trained in a way that puts security first. And so that may differentiate us from other managed service providers in the market is our certifications for our individuals and the way that we bundle our services puts security first. In addition to that, we are independently audited every year to make sure that we are doing what we say we're doing and that we're operating the business in a way that makes our clients feel comfortable that we're providing the services that we should be in a way that that makes sense. And so we do that in a public way. We every year have a report that we can provide our customers, kind of a peek behind the curtains to see how we're operating the business and make sure we're doing that financially sound and using services like vendor management as an example in the appropriate way.
That's really cool. I've never heard of an IT firm doing that before. That really is a secret sauce, and that would make me want to hire you. I love that, Don. And so that makes a big difference. That is
Absolutely.
Really a good point.
Yeah, that is
Also,
a differentiator, especially for us in this market. Is there are not a lot of IT firms that will take the extra effort to allow a third party to audit their services.
And I guess that comes from your CPA background, not your background, but the corporate CPA background. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, I get pitched by people in your space every week. And a lot of them are 23 years old, and I love a good 23-year-old who's out there selling. But you've been around longer than they've been alive,
Right.
So
Right.
That's pretty significant to me, too. We're not talking about a marketing campaign where if you screw it up, that's okay.
Right.
Talking about it's more fundamental than that. It's I live or die based on Kraft.
Absolutely, and we have been around since '92, and the CPA firm around since '58. I would say one of those, there's a lot of M&A activity happening in our space, right? So we're not going anywhere. Kraft is not looking to spin off the business. We're not looking to elevate our value for acquisition. That's happening quite a bit in this space. So be careful about who you're going into business with, and make sure they're going to be around for the long term, and that you're not going to be just part of a much larger organization down the road where you may not be getting the attention that you actually need.
One of the things I always hear about your space is how hard it is to hire people. Talk to me about HR. You said your secret sauce, not only transparency, but the people. Talk to me about where you get these great people and how you train them.
Well, it's a good point. Nashville, especially given how the growth rate, Nashville is under the national average in unemployment. So resources here are scarce. So we are actually looking outside the market. We've brought folks up from your neck of the woods, from Atlanta. From the last hire was from Washington, D.C. And so thankfully, Nashville is an attractive market to move to. And so we're attracting resources from outside of the local geography. And then when we bring them in, it's about culture, like everybody says, but we try to make sure we've got an environment that fosters teamwork, rewards folks for their individual effort as well as team efforts. And then obviously we need to keep up with the market and the pay scale as well. And so Kraft offers a lot of benefits of an organization that's 200, 250 employees. When we operate like a very small business, less than 15 employees, but we have the resources and backing of a much larger organization in Kraft. And so that certainly helps from a retention standpoint, offer the benefits that we would not normally be able to offer if we were just a small MSP on our own.
I hate to ask this question, but so many of my issues are the stupid things like, the printer and the computer are on different networks, and that's why it's not printing, right? When
Sure.
we talk about managed IT, is that something that I can call you about and just say, hey, my printer's not working and I just don't want to call Apple right now?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's kind of one of the basics, right? So we've got our help desk team right outside my door here that is available, on normal business hours and after hours on call. And so we take tickets from clients that may just email in or give us a call, and we're able to remote in and troubleshoot the issue and get resolution as quickly as possible and get them back working on their business.
What does the future look like for your industry? Does it become more and more fractionalized? Does it eventually consolidate? You mentioned the acquisitions, the M&A space, right? I don't know that I want a 1,000-person company doing this for me, because they're going to outsource to cheaper places eventually to drive profits, and eventually I'm going to end up with inferior service. What are your thoughts on the long-term space?
I think the M&A activity is going to continue for quite some time, and you've got a lot of owners in this space, in the managed IT space, that are looking for exit plans in the next 5 to 10 years. And so I don't see that M&A activity slowing down. As far as the future goes, I do believe that technology and security will continue to converge. And if technology companies are not managing security, they are going to lose out. And so I think that can be kind of a warning sign for some MSPs that are discounting security or not taking it as serious as others. And you'll see that market collapse to become more consolidated, both from the M&A activity, but also from security companies and technology companies now operating hand in hand.
Right. Again, I like that, but I want to be able to call a person that I know. That's just what's so absolutely critical in this space, because it's so intimate. It's not like I'm calling and saying, hey, I lost, random files. I'm calling to say, hey, I lost my financial data with all of my most personal stuff on it. That's what I lost.
And you want to be able to call somebody that and that knows you, and that can help you right away. And as some of these folks that are looking for an exit or looking to beef up the value of their company, they may outsource to resources outside of the country. And we've chosen not to do that.
Excellent. Don't go outside of Nashville. Don, how do we find out more, get in touch with you, hire you, all of that, please, sir?
Sure. So our website is craftgrp.com. That's craftgrp.com. You can find us on the social platforms, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Kraft Tech Group, and obviously on LinkedIn as well.
Fantastic. Don Baham, everybody. Again, Don, I want to apologize for getting your name wrong. I really do feel bad about that. I really do apologize. That's the one thing I was supposed to do, and I blew it. So,
no worries, Jim. You better write yourself up and not do it next time.
You're a good man. And we will be right back.